They ain't listening. Every bar that you listen with, hit your heart, bringing it to the
Good, Captain Tower. Y'all was gonna rock the tower good with you. Hey, man, you know, I've been bumping that motherfucker one way till they bury me, man. I just wanna let you know. Listen to these other niggas, man. These niggas ain't fucking with you, bro. These motherfucking bars, you spitting that real shit you dropping, that's what niggas need the motherfucking hip hop right now. All these niggas talking about this motherfucking popping Molly getting wet. These niggas loving top, man. Fuck all that bullshit, man. You a real motherfucking nigga. Keep dropping that real shit, and niggas gonna get on with that shit. Niggas need to get their boots laced up. Niggas need to get their motherfucking fringes, grow that beard out. Niggas need that soldier shit. You bringing that motherfucking shit, man. Keep laying that shit down. You understand? Because right now, we need real niggas, and you the last real nigga left. My nigga, Captain War. One West till they bury me. Y'all already know what it is. And the rest of you bitch ass niggas out there, fuck.
I don't want no smoke. 7:30, 1 West. They don't want no problems.
They don't want no smoke. What I tell them? Fuck them. Pull up to their show. What you tell them? Fuck them. Hit them with the foe. What we tell them? Fuck them. They don't want no problem. They don't want no smoke. What I tell them? Fuck them. Pull up to their show. What you tell them? Fuck them. Hit them with the foe. What we tell them? Fuck them. They don't want no problem. You know my motto is fuck 'em, that's all I gotta say. Scope on the rifle that'll spot you from a mile away. Still getting women drunk off Hennessy and Alizé. Still with them niggas loading hollow tips inside the cave. Still be on that same shit, but I kinda change with multiplying bitches. Might not see me with the same bitch, but you might see me riding 95 North in the black Mitsubishi 195 horse. Power with no sour, couple bottles there, of course. R.I.P. to all my fallen riders in the morgue. Yeah, you know I got the juice, know I got the sauce. And then Superfly, pull a fatty in the Porsche. I don't need a Molly just to pop her out of drawers. Shorty getting naked cause she know that I'm the bore. Ready for that drama, man, I'm ready for the war. If he talking reckless, he don't really love his jaw. Fuck him to the DA, fuck him to the law. Fuck them cause they got my brother stuck behind them bars. Fuck them to the PD, fuck them to the force. Fuck them to the haters just without the intercourse. They don't want no smoke. What I tell them? Fuck them. Pull up to their show. What you tell them? Fuck them. Hit them with the foe. What we tell them? Fuck them. They don't want no problem. They don't want no smoke. What I tell them? Fuck them. Pull up to their show. What you tell them? Fuck them. Hit them with the foe. What we tell them? Fuck them. They don't want no problem. We got tons of guns, don't make us use it. Doing something stupid, resulting in being toothless. Getting broad topless in the whip like it's ruthless. Like my girl's chocolate with the chips, so she useless. Always been the nigga that's too big for the Gucci. Long as I got enough from the squeeze in the Thule. Couple extra clips that it scenes from your movie. Step up in the club ready, smelling like a brewery. Then I mix the frankincense, keep the aroma. He brewed fresh to death, you in a coma. Shit, you just a player in the game, I'm the owner. Bitches call me, but for you don't pick the phone up. Niggas talking childish shit, I'm a grown up. New for a while, I'm sick, keep me throwing up. Keep guns on every floor of my house. Yeah, you might make it in, but you ain't making it out. It's kinda like you got a bullseye taped to your scout. It's like you walking through the jungle, but the lions is out. UPK, bend them niggas, what you lying about? The generals will get a word, I'll punch you right in your mouth, nigga. They don't want no smoke. What I tell them? Fuck them. Pull up to their show. What you tell them? Fuck them. Hit them with the foe. What we tell them? Fuck them. They don't want no problem. They don't want no smoke. What I tell them? Fuck them. Pull up to their show. What you tell them? Fuck them. Hit them with the foe. What we tell them? Fuck them. They don't want no problem. They don't want no problem. Fuck them. They don't want no problem. Fuck them. They don't want no problem. They don't want no.
I.S.U.P.K.
Yeah. Lost tribes.
Duplication.
Strong palm.
It's one West to the death of me. Some of the coldest young niggas you will ever see. Hit the streets and get treated like celebrities. Separate from the fake like they got leprosy. You wanna raise some real niggas, this the recipe. Turning boys into men is the specialty. My niggas heavy in the game like the referee. Y'all niggas talk loud, but you ain't impressing me. And it's the home of the truth too. We so plugged in, we don't need Bluetooth. The general still raising up new troops. Might let a devil bow down and kiss my new boots. We got that warrior spirit, y'all niggas too cute. Your pastor took your ties and went and bought a new suit. Then he went and bought a new coupe. Niggas start their own group like it's a new truth. You niggas fruity and sweet like Fruit Loops. I'm a killer, I don't murder, but I do shoot. We must protect the compound. Where I'm from, they fell in love with them gun sounds. Get in this body for real, niggas is wildin'. 3 of my brothers died at the hands of gun violence. Looking in the casket like damn, not again. At the funeral, no, it could have been one of his friends. Could have been by some ends, could have been by some hoes. A couple bullet holes got him singing End of the Road. Teaching niggas to code, they don't understand loyalty. And I'm a king, you don't understand royalty. You want some more of me? Here it is, come get it. Dumb lyrics, I'm really just having fun with it. Burn Babylon, let the bodies hit the flow. Lost tribes got the game in the figure 4. Letting niggas know the revolution televised. This ain't a song, I'm just ripping it for exercise. See, I can end any fight with a throat strike. Still giving all praise to the Most High. Slaying all them demons on God. Niggas out here acting like broads. They don't want no smoke with the squad. UPK shit, UPK shit. Slaying all them demons on God. Niggas out here acting like broads. They don't want no smoke with the squad. UPK shit, UPK shit.
Fuck that fake shit, fuck that fake shit. This the home of the truth, harder than the pavement. Niggas losing their integrity just to get paid quick. We some real niggas straight from the bottom of the basement. We grew up with drug users when you just ain't say shit. But now it's time to speak up and free our people from Satan. These crackers got us in their clutches, it's modern day slavery. It's a war, you can't win it when you high as planes, bitch. Some niggas stable as water, some niggas can follow orders. Some niggas don't know they niggas, my niggas across the border. They build walls and the borders, but nothing gon' stop the Lord. Cause we building up an army with soldiers in every quarters. From Canada down to Florida to London, we on the corners. Calling white people devils, no apologies in order. We just preparing slaughter for all these sons and their daughters who taught us to hate our fathers and brought us nothing but horrors. Slaying nothing but demons until the Lord come redeem us. Battling Sadducees just like Jesus with Nicodemus. We believe that we free, but we really don't know what free is. I promise you, until my seed receive the kingdom, I'm
slaying all them demons on God. Niggas out here acting like broads. They don't want no smoke with the squad. UPK shit, UPK shit. Slaying all them demons on God. Niggas out here acting like broads. They don't want no smoke with the squad. UPK shit, UPK shit.
UPK shit, UPK shit. UPK shit, UPK shit.
I.S.U.P.K.
Yeah, 144 shit, you know what I mean? Busy man, busy man. Look, when that shit drop, you step all the way on their neck, step on their neck and they hear that shit.
Friday, I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them all what time it is. I pop out like a Samuel, I got time to give. Haters thought I died, I survived, they know how I did it. Got it out the mud, straight to go, they know how I did it. But he don't show the skills, I show the skills, he ride, but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel, they mad. Inside the circle tight, yeah, that you see, know they want my life, I ain't worried, I right from there, I got real soldiers, kill folks. When niggas watch yourself, they say you be
Robbing that fire, precious marriage, they inquiring. They can't stop what's coming, but I see them conspiring. Cross the line, them firing. This bitch here, finna break the spin on kindness. I don't trust you, circle small. You can keep your features. Me and my niggas don't keep no secrets. In the feel like jibbers, say they want some smoke, dog. So I wrote these chimney ain't coming like we coming. You can't even count. These niggas don't run it like we running. Bitch, don't even start. Bitch, don't with my niggas till the end, till them do us part. If you wanna leave, you can leave, bitch. Bless your heart, fine in. I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel. I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it. Got it out the mud, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel. He nice, but he don't show them skills how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel how I work the wheel. Oh, I got a man, circle tight, yeah, back and seal. I heard they want my life. I ain't worried, I got Ray for real. Take over in effect, yeah, I'm fully focused. You might not see it on me, just know it's women, that bitch fully loaded. Ooh, yeah, we up and rolling. Told them I need major motion. Think I'm joking, I'ma school them niggas like they baby Jody. Got it out the dust, now I'm too clean, don't know why they hate me. What you want out life, dog? Guns and butter, baby boy. UPK top, dog. Certified road runner. I'ma turn that eco-line into a damn tank. I got choppers stashed in the attic like they in front. They had that shit on lock till I snapped on them like ball cutters. You cannot play both sides, gotta choose your colors. See them throwing that one up with that W, that's my blood, bro. Fine in. I ain't show no mercy, I'm gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel. I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it. Got it out the gut, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel. He nice, but he don't show the skills how I show the skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel how I work the wheel. Oh, I got a man, circle tight, yeah, back and seal. Said they want my life, I ain't worried, I got Ray for real.
Shalom, Hebrew. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, Jamaica. Started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. The I.S.U.P.K is run today by Commanding General YAHANNA, who is the man with the rank and authority to be the leader of the nation of Israel at this time. I.S.U.P.K started in 1969. I want to say Yahweh Basham Yahweh Barakatam to my brothers, Yahweh Shamar Ailatan Bashan Yahweh to my sisters. Welcome to our Wednesday evening law class. All right, today we're looking at the law of the Most High fighting for you. God fighting our battles. That's law. You know, we have dietary laws and all different kind of laws. But it's also a law. The Most High has also make it a law that once we keep his commandments, he will fight our battles. This is one thing where the church won't tell you. Because as simple as you see it look, your oppressor would be in serious problem if you know this. Because if you know this and you start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, it puts your oppressors in trouble. And since they are the ones who administer your religion, they don't want to be in trouble. They don't want you to know so that you will put them in trouble. I understand. All right, so we're going right into it. All right, let's begin at Exodus 14 and 14.
Gun.
We're going into scripture pack this evening. Pack with scriptures and precepts.
Gun. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 14 and 14. The Lord shall fight for you.
Salaki, begin at 30.
Another one can. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 13. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. Verse 14. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
Right. So this is when the Most High was taking us out of Egypt to give us his laws, statutes, and commandments. So we were just learning how to follow the Most High. All right. Now go down to Deuteronomy 3:21 to 22.
Another one can. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 3, verse 21. And I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, thine eyes have seen all that the Lord your God has done unto these two kings. So shall the Lord do unto all the kingdoms, whither thou passest. Verse 22. Ye shall not fear them, for the Lord your God, he shall fight for you.
Right. So the Most High was also teaching us again in the time of Joshua that you go out, your eyes your eyes have seen all that the Lord have done. The Lord your God hath done unto these two kings. So shall the Lord do unto all the kingdom without the part. So the Most High deliver two kings in our hands and, give us a little, what I call it now, courage. So why would be two kings? So the Most High says, same like when you beat those two kings, that's how you're going to beat all the other kings that are in the region here. Because in that time, that era, that it's still the same era in the Middle East today. Going all the way to Jordan, up to Iraq, that's the between the two rivers, Euphrates and the other, and I think Tigris, it don't cross the river. But all that valley, which was fruitful in the time that we came out of Egypt, was full of kings, because the land, because the land was so fruitful, it could sustain probably millions of people. So there are several kingdoms in that region, ruled by kings. The Most High delivered two, and there were many more to be delivered. So the Most High is telling Joshua, fear, don't have no fear, man. Don't be afraid. In the same way you look now, you're hearing the news that China deploying more nuclear missile sites. China expanding its nuclear missile capabilities, setting up two fields that can deploy over 100 nuclear missiles each. Now he's saying that this is in defense. So the Most High would say unto us, have no fear, you see these countries deploying nuclear missile sites, because this is what would drive the fear today. I shall deliver them into your hands. That's what it will be equivalent to in a time like today. But think beyond carnality, because carnality is going to tell you that we can't beat them. And really, who's going to beat them? We will see that later on. All right. Now go back to down to Deuteronomy 20:4.
Another one can. Another one can. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20:4. For the Lord your God is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you.
All right. So this now, Deuteronomy 20 gives you the laws of warfare. Yes, that's one of our laws. We always talk about um we always talk about what you should eat and how you treat your brothers and so on. But there's also a law that we have concerning warfare. And if you read verse 1, when thou goest out to battle against thine enemies and sees horses and chariots and a people more than thou, be not afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. This is a law given to us, but is the law, our law of warfare is enacted by we keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, the other laws. The way what we eat, what we how we treat each other, and we not worshiping other gods. Because if we are breaking the other laws, this law of warfare is going to reverse. So when we go out to battle, we will get our ass kicked. That's the way the Most High set it. So in order for us to enact these war laws, we have to be keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. All right, that's Deuteronomy now. All right, let's get into First Samuel's. First Samuel's chapter 3. We're going to read all of it. We're going to be looking at another time that the Most High has fought battles. You know, you realize that from we've been reading we started from what? Exodus or Leviticus coming down? Exodus. The entire thing we read it's really about warfare. You realize that? The various nations that we engage in war, what happened to us when we don't keep the laws, and what happened for us when we keep the laws. That's how you know that the UPK is the truth. What is one of our motto? Life is about
war.
Life is about war. Right? If you want to say warfare. We sitting down here in our homes, far away from the powers that rule this country. You are at war with them. You are at war with those who are not your people. And some of your own people have joined with them to be at war with you. That's the reality. And they know it. Whenever time you go around them conducting business, you saw them look around you and think, you know that these people understand what is happening between we and them. Right? And I can speak from experience. All right, let's say what? First Samuel, right? Verse 3. We're gonna read starting from 1.
That's First Samuel chapter 3, verse 1.
Right, read all of it. So start at 1.
Another one. This is the book of First Samuel chapter 3 and verse 1. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli. And the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision. Verse 2. And it came to pass at that time when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see. Verse 3. And Aaron, the lamb of God, went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep. Verse 4. That the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, Here am I. Verse 5. And he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I call not. I lie down again. It's like you lie down again. and he went and lay down. Verse 6. And the Lord called yet again Samuel, and Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I call not. My son, lie down again. Verse 7. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. Verse 8. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Verse 9. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go, lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place.
All right, so coming up to verse 9, this setting the stage for when Samuel, you remember when we started with Samuel, Samuel's mother could not bear any child, and she made a promise to the Most High that it will made a vow to the Most High. If you give me a child, I will give me a man child, and I will make this child be of service to you, or dedicated to the temple. Now, the Most High, she prayed such in the temple, and the Most High answered her prayers and gave her this man child named Samuel. And as soon as the child was weaned from off the breast, she took that child onto the temple. Now, after this child, she gained more sons and more daughters. Her womb was opened up, or the Most High opened her matrix. And you know, on that word, a little sidebar. When last you watched the show Matrix? Long time. All right. When I come in the truth, you need to watch Matrix again. Anyways, you watch it since you've been in the truth, Officer Kayadon?
I don't remember, you know.
You don't remember?
I don't remember if I watch it since the truth, but I know the show well, you know.
Yeah, man. You need to watch it since being in the truth. And you see a lot of similarities.
God.
Not giving any praise to those who make it. I don't know who make it, but
Yes, sir. It was a black woman who wrote the original story, and they stole it and make it a movie.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
well, that would explain it.
Yeah, man. And
Why
it was about black people, yeah.
Oh, well, that would explain why it was like that. It is like that.
Yeah, man.
No, I see. As I was watching it, I said, "Hold oh, this show yeah, so similar to what we want to achieve in the truth."
God.
Yeah.
And it talk about science, and you know what I mean?
Right.
God.
You know, a lot of the things they talk about is computer programs, but
Yeah.
it's just switching of names.
God.
All right, so back to what we were saying now. So Samuel growing up in the temple, sleeping in the temple. Right? It's no new thing for people who to be of service to the Most High, to make the school or the temple their own place. In fact, Samuel was right where the Ark of the Covenant was sleeping, and there's not anybody can go near that. But that was where he was sleeping. He had his head close to the altar. So he heard the voice and he answered and he come out to Eli, and Eli said, I never called you. And I said, okay, go back to bed. Third time Eli realized, you know, says the Lord calling you. And say, all right, if you hear that again, just speak, Lord, thy servant hear it. Because Eli know that he have some evil sons, you know, so Moses not talk to him. And him is the high priest. Is he really him the Moses should be speaking to? But the Moses is angry with him. And he knows it, as we are going to see. All right, go on to 10.
Another one, verse 10. And the Lord came and stood and called as at other times. Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. Verse
All
11.
right. Continue. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 11. And the Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone that heareth it shall tingle. Verse 12. In that day I will perform against Eli all the things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end. Verse 13. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons
Finish it, the verse.
because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not.
Okay, so the Most High spoke to him before. There's no record in the book of Samuel of that. But the Most High is not telling Samuel, say, I spoke to him. Basically, the Most High is saying, I speak to him, and he did nothing about the fact that his sons has made themselves vile, and he is not restraining them. So him is the high priest, him is the man in charge. He's supposed to be restraining those who come under him. It no must be his son, you know, but in this case, it's his sons. Restrain your sons, man. Continue. Hello?
Can, sir. Wait a second, continue.
Continue, can.
Another one can. Verse 14. And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever.
No sacrifice they can make is going to change what the Most High is going to do to them. They come like a more and weep and, oh Lord, forgive me, blah, blah, blah. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 15. And Samuel lay until the morning and opened the doors of the house of the Lord. And Samuel feared to shew Eli the vision. Verse 16. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here am I. Verse 17. And he said, What is the thing that the Lord has said unto thee? I pray thee, hide it not from me. God do so to thee, and more also, if thou hide anything from me of all the things that he said unto thee. Verse 18. And Samuel told him every whit, and hid nothing from him. And he said, It is the Lord, let him do what seemeth him good. Verse 19. And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and did let none of his words fall to the ground. Verse 20. And all Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established to be the prophet of the Lord.
To be a prophet of the Lord.
Lord.
All right, now, you see how Eli presumptuous now. Eli say, well, I didn't like him, but him do what please him. You understand? Rather than from then, be like David, even though David wasn't born yet, but show that similar regret. That you really regret what is, that you will not restrain your son and the Most High is going to punish you. Just say, so maybe you know what happened, man look now, so me all, me can do it anytime. We keep what we want. But when it comes to the Most High, even when you're on your deathbed and you think that, well, if God wants to finish punish me and I want him, we can go ahead. Just remember that you have children coming on.
God.
And you better be mindful of them, because the punishment that you should receive, the Most High can put it on them. So you just get a little punishment couple days or a couple of years on your deathbed. They are going to get it their lifetime. And you have to be mindful of that. So that is why it is important that you yourself live a good life. Or when I say good life, in the truth, when I speak about a good life, we speak about a life in which you respect and follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High.
God.
You not doing that, it have repercussions on your children. You know this saying, the old time people say, parents eat the sour grape and the children's teeth set on edge. That comes from the Bible. It's in the Bible too. The children's teeth is set on edge. I always say edge. Right? That's how it is. And we wonder, why can we so make everything we can work? It's your parents. Continue.
Another one, verse 21. And the Lord appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. Chapter 4. Just continue reading. Chapter 4 with this.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
so the Most High revealed what he is going to do unto Samuel. Trust me, you have to be one keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments for him to reveal unto you what he is going to do. However, there's always a person who he reveals what he is going to do. He does nothing in Israel without he reveal what he's going to do. Hence, we have the Bible. That's one of the main reasons why we have the Bible. And you have it in English, you have it in Spanish, you have it in all the different languages in which the children of Israel are, whichever country they are in across the world. They are supposed to read it. The understanding might not come same time, right? But it's a book which gives them the law and also holds the record of our past. And what you have done in the past, it serves as you ever talk about this term we talk about track record. So boy, this man have a very bad track record. Things that he has done in the past tell you what he is, the type of person that he is. So the Bible is our track record. We can look at it as we have a bad track record still, because we love we love break the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. But it's not the making of the history is not yet complete. And today we can look and say, Jesus peace. We have wasted basically 2,000 years trying to prove that we can live without the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments and be friends with these other nations. And it has not worked. So our track record now shows that being friends with these nations does not pay us. All right, let's go to now, chapter 4. Right? After Zechariah done.
Slovakia, you signal break up a while ago, sir. You say something?
Yes, chapter 4. First Samuel chapter 4. You get me? After Zechariah done. Hello?
Give me a second, sir. 1 second.
All right. So in chapter 4 now.
Slovakia, sir. What you said?
First Samuel
hear me,
now,
sir?
chapter 4. Can I hear you loud and clear now?
Slovakia, yeah, break up.
All right,
so
loud and clear.
Read chapter 4.
Right.
All right, this is the book of First Samuel, chapter 4 and 1. And the word of Samuel came to all Israel Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle and pitched beside Ebenezer, and the Philistines pitched in Aphek. Verse 2. And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel. And when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines, and they slew of the army in the field about 4,000 men. Verse 3. And when people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, wherefore has the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? Let us fetch the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh unto us, that when it cometh again, Slakia, among us, it may save us out of the hand of our enemies.
All right. So right here now in chapter 4.
Verse 4.
Hold on, chapter 4. We're going out to battle with the Philistines. First round, Philistine whip our ass. We go back in the camp and say, Jesus, peace. We're getting beaten. Let's go for the Ark of the Covenant and put the Ark of the Covenant in the camp. And then we'll go on to battle again. All right. Because they know the point of the Ark of the Covenant. Continue.
Another one gone, verse 4. So the people sent to Shiloh that they might bring from thence the ark of the covenant of the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth between the cherubims, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of covenant of God. Verse 5. And when the ark of the covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang again. Verse 6. And when the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, what meaneth the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews? And they understood that the ark of the Lord was come into the camp. Verse 7. And the Philistines were afraid, for they said, God is come into the camp. And they said, woe unto us, for there has not been such a thing heretofore. Verse 8. Woe unto us, who shall deliver us out of the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods that smote the Egyptians with all the plagues in the wilderness. Verse 9. Be strong and quiet yourself and quit yourself like men, O ye Philistines, that ye be not servants unto the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Quit yourself like men and fight.
All right.
Verse
So
10.
up on,
And Philistine.
hold on. And to this point now, you find that the Philistines, right, when the Ark of the Covenant came into the camp, people get happy now, Israelites get happy. Shout, yes, I mean, bring it in. So much noise that the Bible said the earth rang again. Vibrate the earth. And the Philistines heard and said, what is this noise in the Hebrews camp? We just whip their ass. They're not supposed to be shouting like in that joyous way. And then they learn that the Ark of the Covenant is now brought into the camp. So they catch afraid. They said, Lord of mercy, woe is we. Because these are the same gods that destroyed Egypt. Because at the time of the Philistines, Egypt was no more. Understand? So they understood what was happening, and then they catch him for it. But the elders of the Philistines strengthened them and said, come on, quit yourself and fight like men, so that you don't fall prey to them. If you fall prey to them, you'll become their servants, just as they are our servants now. All right, continue.
Another one gone, verse 10. And the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten, and they fled every man into his tent. And there was a very great slaughter for there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. Verse 11. And the ark of God was taken, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were slain. Verse 12. And they ran a man of Benjamin out of the army and came to Shiloh the same day with his clothes rent, with earth upon his head. Verse 13. And when he came, lo, Eli sat upon a seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told it, all the city cried out. Verse 14. And when Eli heard the noise of the cry, he said, what meaneth the noise of this tumult? And the man came in hastily and told Eli. Verse 15. Now Eli was 90 and 8 years old, and his eyes were dim, that he could not see. Verse 16. And the man said unto Eli, I am he that came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. And he said, what is there done, my son? Verse 17. And the messenger answered and said, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there has been also a great slaughter among the people. And thy sons, Slacky, and thy two sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God is taken.
All right, so right here now, the news come to Eli of what happened on the battlefield. One Benjamite made the run. I don't know, maybe it was Hussein. Made the run from the battlefield, come up to Phinehas, come up to Eli to give him the news that his two sons died in the battle and the Ark of the Covenant was taken. Not good news for him as a priest. All right, continue. Continue.
Another one sir, kind of delay, the signal kind of set out there.
Yeah.
Verse 17, Salakia, verse 18. And it came to pass when he made mention of the ark of God that he fell from off the seat backwards by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died, for he was an old man and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. Verse 19. And his daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was with child, here to be delivered. And when she heard the tidings that the ark of God was taken, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself and travailed, for her pains came upon her. Verse 20.
Right.
And about the
Gave
time of her
birth
death, the
to
woman
giving
that
birth same time. Giving birth same time to hear the bad news. You know, these things like this even happen today. A woman within certain months of ready to deliver, being ready to deliver a child, hearing certain news or certain things happening that she is witness. Just send the body into that travailing mode and the baby born. Right? It's not necessarily premature, but it actually born before time. These things do happen, even unto today. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 20. And about the time of her death, the woman that stood by her said unto her, Fear not, for thou hast born a son. But she answered not, neither did she regard it. Verse 21. And she named the child Ichabod, saying, The glory is departed from Israel, because the ark of God was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. Verse 22. And she said, The glory is departed from Israel, for the ark of God is taken.
All right. So at this time now, she gave birth to Eli's grandchild. But she wasn't all that happy because the child father dead and the child grandfather dead and the Ark of the Covenant gone. And the child was supposed to now come be a priest. I understand. So she now get distraught. And she named the child Ichabod, saying, The glory is departed from Israel. Israel now, just like how we do have the glory now. Meaning, who have glory now? America. America is the nation now that everybody fear. Right? They have glory now.
God.
We don't have no glory. So this is glory what the Most High talking about. But our glory that the Most High generally speaks of is righteous, because our glory involves us keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. So that's a big difference between our glory and the glory of the other nations. Their glory is actually in defeating us. There's no nation out there that has any glory without having our people under their feet. Right? So she now knows what this means. She said the glory is departed from Israel because the ark of God was taken, and her father and her husband was gone. So she said, no, the glory is departed from Israel, or the ark of God is taken. I think this was the first time a next nation ever take away the ark of the covenant. But we're going to see what it means. Chapter 5.
Another one can. Chapter 5, verse 1. And the Philistine took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. Verse 2. When the Philistine took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. Verse
Right,
3.
Dagon was the Philistines' idol. So they have this big statue. So what them say now, is Dagon deliver the Israelites unto them. So now that they get the symbol of the Israelite strength, they are now giving it to Dagon as a token. So they do it, setting it by Dagon. This is now, like you're going to say, oh, mighty Dagon, this is what you have given unto us. We give it to you. Something like that they will be doing. Because who they believe in? Not our God. They believe in their idol. But let's see what happens here. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 3. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. Verse 4. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was falling upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him.
So this is how the Ark of the Covenant have beat up one idol now. Trim down on the face in the night. When they come back, when they come in the morning, they see Dagon on his face. They take him up, put him up back. Next morning they come. Not only is Dagon on his face, but his head and his toe and cut off. The Ark of the Covenant here, though, whipping the idol. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 5. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. Verse 6. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emeralds, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. Verse 7. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the ark of God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us and upon Dagon our God.
Right. So the Ark of the Covenant whipping them and giving them emerald. You know what is emerald? You hear people talk about pile. What is pile?
Pile.
Pile. Pile. Yeah. That sickness that you get somewhere in the body.
Okay. Yeah, man. If you sit down, let me say, you sit down, something you get that pile somewhere.
Right, the anus.
Yeah.
So that hemorrhoid was right there in the anus. One of them getting that pile in them asshole. Right, so that must be comfortable. They can't sit down, they can't stand up, they can't do anything. Very uncomfortable. So kill them with hemorrhoids and at the same time I beat up in Dagon. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 8. They sent therefore and gather all the lords of the Philistine unto them, and said, what shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto God. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about thither. Verse 9. And it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerald in their secret part.
Right. But that's the secret part, right in the asshole.
Verse 10. Therefore they sent the ark of God to Ekron, and it came to pass, as the ark of God came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, they have brought about the ark of God of Israel to us to slay us and our people. Verse 11. So they sent and gathered together all the lord of the Philistine and said, send away the ark of the God of Israel and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not and our people, for there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. Verse 12. And the men that died, and the men that died not were smitten with the emerald, and the cry of the city went up to heaven.
All right.
Chapter 6 and 1.
So, hold on. So you see what is happening here now. Who is fighting the battle? Who is fighting this battle?
The Most High.
The Most High is fighting this battle. Because we are the Israelites. They are back in their homeland. Ark of the Covenant gone. It's like the Most High telling them to listen. I can't fight my own battle, you know. You don't believe that I have to depend on you all for anything for me. I'm going to free you, and you won't be freed by your hands. You're going to be freed by my hands. So this is how the Most High work. Let them get beaten. They run for the Ark of the Covenant, believing that they're going to get strength. Ark of the Covenant was taken and the two priests killed. So them start to cry and they give up. They can't go down in the Philistine land for it. But what is happening down there? The Most High is fighting in his own battle. Battles, the Most High's battles is always about freeing Israel and destroying the gods of the enemies. The gods that if you notice how this world is structured, one who is allies, close allies, oftentimes believe in the same gods. America's allies, many of them Christians, right? Russian allies. Because Russia have the Russia, what they call them, Russian Orthodox Church, I think. But the Russians, many of them don't believe in nothing. But to not believe in a God is like idolatry in its own, because there is something that you are going to put that you hold dear to you. And many times that becomes money. The man will say, I believe in a God, man. Money is his God. Right? So the Iranians, the Russians and the Iranians, they have been allies from way back in the time of before they named Russia and Iran, when they were, oh gosh, what was the name used in the Bible again? They took over the Babylonian city. Persia and Media Persia. They have been allies from back then. They are still allies today. Yeah. Because the other time when Russia's closest ally was America, you know, America and Russia was allies, you know. They fought on the same side in World War II. Mm-hmm. But after World War II, money got in the way, because America gets some of the German scientists, Russia gets some. Neither of them want to give them up and turn enemies now. Now Russia's closest ally is his old-time friend, the Persians. Right. So right here now you find the Philistines. Every nation that come up against Israel believe in another God. There's never a nation that came up against Israel to say, we believe in your God, the same God you have, but you know, you're not keeping the law status, so we're going to take you over. No. Because the Most High tell you is one nation in showing ways, and that's us. And there's not another nation out there who knows how to keep the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, and what it means, how to get the Most High to fight for you than we do. Which is why your enemies throw everything at you for you to not keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. The food that you eat. As a matter of fact, him try to remove you, the black man, from the equation and to replace it with the black woman. And they know that this is not so in Israel. Because in their world, it is the men that rule too. So in no society, basically, is the women in general. You will have one woman who rise up, or two, or three, or a couple. But to say it's the women in general that rules, there's no nation that have that. Not even the Bushman. Because in the Bushman's world, wife is still stay home and him go hunt. And the hunting is where you face danger, because that animal that you're going to hunt, you can end up becoming food for another animal that is hunting you for their food. So he takes that risk. He take that risk to make his wife be safe in some way at home with the kids while he goes out to find food or for the thing there for the family. So even here, they're worshiping a false god, Dagon, but still the men that rule, princes. They say princes, I know princes are men. So right here, Israel now got beaten by another nation, and this was at a time when we were not following the law, statutes, and commandment as we should. You know, remember we read about Eli's two sons, or them that scruffy young girl them. When our laws don't tell you not to make, you are not to make a war of the daughters of Israel. Meaning you, the man, should not make them, I'm going to use this word, you should not make them your bitches. Right? You make them your wife. No matter how sexy she look and she want one night stand with you, you should not join in such thing, because you know contributing to breaking a law in making a daughter of Israel a war. Not to say that you can go and sleep with a woman of another race. Yeah. Your mind now is going to say, oh, somebody can sleep with a woman of another race. But the law says you should not sleep with the other races. So in any case, you should not be sleeping with anyone, whether of your people or of another race. So we have to understand these intricate rules and laws so that we can get the Most High on our side in today's day. Right? We have to understand that. The Khazarians who are in the kingdom, who stole our way of life, believe that God is on their side. It's just a matter of time before the Most High show them that, no, I'm not on your side. These are the people who are on their side. So that is why many of them is going to have birthing pains, because they have amongst them, when they are believing that they are the people of God. And that's not so. And for you to get God on your side, you have to keep his laws. So Israel got defeated because they were not keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. Even the sacrifices were being polluted. It's mainly by three persons, in Eli and in two sons. That's why the Most High said, no sacrifice or nothing where they do can be able to redeem them forever. So him take them life. All right. So where we are now? Verse chapter 6.
Salakia, sir. Cancer, we are
Chapter
chapter 6.
All right, chapter 6 now.
Canada one can. This is the book of First Samuel, chapter 6 and 1. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. Verse 2. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, said, what shall we do to the ark of the Lord? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to his place. Verse 3. And they said, if he send away the ark of God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Then he shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Verse 4. Then said they, what shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden emeralds and 5 golden mites, according to the number of the lords of the Philistine. For 1 plague was on you all, and one and on your lords.
All right, so in this chapter now, you see where
Verse 5.
this, hold on, where the Philistines now coming to terms with what is happening to them. And they're now realizing that it's because they have the Ark of the Covenant why they are being beaten. Emeralds are kill them, mice are kill them. Right? And you know, mice bring another disease, leptospirosis. So maybe, well, that's a name we give it today. So maybe they had that disease from the mice back then. Right? Mice go and bite them food, and why rather than them throw it away, they have to use it because they don't have no more. Now, the Philistines call up on the priests and their diviners. That is strong over man, you know. We had a leader who used to have a revivalist as in guide. Who was that leader? You know, what used to happen. His diviner was Capo. Capo was his priest, a revivalist priest. So the Philistines called for their priests and their diviners and said, what shall we do to the ark of the Lord? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to his place. Because they don't want to give it back, you know. But they're the same that they can't keep it. Then just moving it from city to city, and everywhere it goes, men are being plagued with mice. And the men are being plagued with hemorrhoids, and the place is being plagued with mice. So these priests and diviners say, well, if we send it back, we can send it back, but we can't send it back empty because we have trespass on God. That's what they don't know about God, you know. The Bible has never said that these nations don't know God, you know. The Bible says he has never taught them his ways. So they know about the true God of Israel and know that he is the creator of the universe. They know all of this, you know. And then realize that them know that this trespass, they have trespass on this covenant. On this ark. So if you send it back, I will send it back with the trespass offering. And what was the trespass offering that they were going to use? The trespass offering that they are giving is different from if we were making trespass offering. Trespass as offering for us was a sacrifice. But the trespass offering that they are thinking about is make golden mice and emeralds. The shape and look how the emeralds look, that take them up, they make it out of gold, and they would put it inside the Ark of the Covenant. All right, continue.
Canada 1 can, verse 6. Wherefore then do we harden your hearts as the Egyptians, and Pharaoh hardened their hearts when he had brought wonderfully among them. Did they not let the people go, and they departed? Verse 7. Now therefore make a new cart, and take 2 milch kine, on which there has come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. Verse 8. And take the ark of the Lord, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold which ye return home for a trespass offering in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away that it may go. Verse 9. And see if it goeth up by the way of his own coast to Beth Shemesh, then he has done us this great evil. But if
All
not,
right.
then we shall know that it is not Slakia.
Finish it. But if it's not,
Canada one can. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us. It was a chance that happened to us.
right. So you see what they are using now. You remember probability in math. This is what diviners and soothsayers and so use. Predictors, or the thing you call probability. So they are using probability and say, all right, get the 2 milk coin, the meaning 2 cows, which, well, you can call them cattle. 2 cattle. Well, we call them cow out there in Jamaica. And take away that the meaning, that's why that's a milk coin, because they have calf. So you're going to take the calf from them, build new cart to be drawn by the cows, then put the Ark of the Covenant on the cart and put the golden emeralds and the golden mices that you're going to send back as a peace offering. Put them into the Ark of the Covenant and send it down the road. If you turn to the left, if you turn in the direction, if the carts turn in the direction where the Israelites are, then they know that it was the hand of their God that was upon us. But if you turn the other way, you know that it was a chance that happened to us. That what happened to us, it was just by chance, right? So they are using probability right there, though. You know, probably it was their God, and probably it wasn't. So we will see. So this is how these diviners work, and this is how now the way in which they administer what they are saying make people believe in them. Because if you have the 2 cows on the cart, and they are going along the road, you drive them along the road, then they reach a crossroad. Them go and turn either left or right. You see, probability. All right, verse what? 8?
Slakia, verse 10.
10 read?
Verse 10.
All right.
And the men did so, and took 2 milch kine, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their Slakia, and shut up their calves at home. Verse 11. And they laid the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the images of their emeralds. Verse 20. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Beth Shemesh, and went along the highway, lowing as they went, and turning not aside to the right hand or to the left hand. And the lords of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Beth Shemesh. Verse 13. And they of Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. Verse 14, and the cart came into the field of Joshua, a Beth-Shemite, and stood there, where there was a great stone, and they clave the wood of the cart and offered the kind a burnt offering unto the Lord.
All right.
Verse
So the
15.
cart,
So,
hold on. The cart now went back to the land of the Israelites. It didn't stay with the Philistine. So just like I said, probabilities. We're going to go one, we had the other. Now, when the Israelites saw the cart, the horse, and the Ark of the Covenant, they rejoiced, and they took off the Ark of the Covenant, and they used the cows as a offering with the wood from the cart to burn, and they made an offering, burnt offering unto the Lord. Now, one thing they know that it's the Levites who are supposed to handle the Ark of the Covenant. So they obviously send, because in every city had priests. So they send for Levite priests to come and handle the Ark of the Covenant. All right. Verse what they are now? 15?
Cancer.
All
Verse
right,
15.
15.
And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Beth-Shemesh offered burnt offering and sacrifices, sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. Verse 16. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. Verse 17. And these are the golden emeralds which the Philistine returned for a trespass offering unto the Lord. For Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Askelon 1, for Gath 1, for Ekron 1. Verse 18, and the gold mice according to the number of all the cities of the Philistine belonging to the 5 lords, both of fenced cities and of country villages, even unto the great stone of Abel, whereon they set down the ark of the Lord, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Joshua the Beth-Shemite.
All right, so right here now you see
Verse
where
19.
they hold on, where they made what was in what they put in the ark. They made a emerald, golden emerald for each of the lord over the cities. All right, the Philistine had 5 lords, 5 princes. So they make a emerald for each lord, for each prince. And then they make golden mice according to the number of all the cities of the Philistine belonging to the 5 lords. So if this lord had 4 cities under his control, he will get 4 mice. If this one have 10, they make 10 mices. And they put all of that in. So there's a lot of gold they put inside the Ark of the Covenant as an offering back to send back to Israel, right? And they handled the Ark of the Covenant, and they weren't struck down when they were handling it, because for whatever reason. But when the Ark of the Covenant went back to the Israelites, they knew that it's the Levites who should handle it. You understand? So they send for the Levite to take it down. And of course, the priests probably looking it. But Where are we now? Verse 19.
We are verse 19.
All right.
Can one can. Verse 19. And he smote the men of Beth Shemesh because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. Even he smote of the people 50,000 and 60 and 10 men. And the people lamented because the Lord had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter. Verse 20. And the men of Beth Shemesh said, who is able to stand before this holy Lord God? And to whom shall he go up from us? Verse 21. And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kirjath Jearim, saying, the Philistines have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come ye down and fetch it up to you. Chapter
All right.
7 and
So,
1.
all right, hold on. So, what we have here now is the ark reaching back to Beth Shemesh in Israel, in the land of the Israelites. And they went and looked. Everybody wanted to see that when the word starts spreading out, or say it come back with these golden offerings in it. Everybody want to see. But all those who look into it, they didn't drop down and dead same time. If that happened, then the Most High wouldn't have got the Most High wouldn't have gotten to smooth 50,070 men. So much people looking at. So they had it on show for days. And then the Most High smite them. Don't know where him smite them with. But the men of Beth Shemesh say, who is able to stand before this holy God, Lord God, and to whom shall he go up from among us? And they start to spread the word now, said, boy, they are come back, They have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come down and fetch it up to you. So, even though Israel was in idolatry and things, because that's why they went and peeped in the ark, because they would have known that you're not supposed to look in it now. If you're not a Levite, you're not even supposed to go near it. But no, yes, man, the ark of the covenant. But no brave man, because they are in their church and telling you that no, man,
why are they not supposed to look into that?
That's the rule, because the Most High or designed with the archangels on top of it. The Most High said he will speak to us from the Ark of the Covenant, right between the two archangels that is there. So it is, he promised us to make it a symbol of holiness unto us. Because in it, he put the 10 Commandments that he wrote and gave to Moses.
10 Commandments that you're supposed to live by.
Well, those commandments is not the only laws given to you. Those commandments form the basis of, it's the base of the other laws that you have to run the country. Any other laws that you would come up with have to observe the 10 Commandments.
Right.
So you can come up with laws, but you can't come up with no law that goes against the 10 Commandments. Right? So he has made it such, and it's also for the protection of these laws, because it's not like now where, I mean, you can't save things electronically. And years to come to look on again. Here,
like a souvenir.
Right, but then it had to be, that's why I made it of a specific kind of wood that would not rot. You know what kind of wood that?
Shitty.
We call it shittim wood. And you know what is shittim tree? Next time you go outside, look around and you see a kasha tree. That is shittim wood. That's what.
I mean, I say, remember that tell we.
Oh yeah, yes, you were yes, you were there. Right. That is what the covenant is made of, because when that tree is mature, you see the heart of the wood gets so hard that the ducks and them things they can't eat it.
Right.
So it can preserve forever as long as it don't wet. Because you know water destroy anything.
Right.
But as long as it's not in a area that is wet and get moldy, it can last forever. Once it's dry. Lifetime. Which lifetime? Forever.
Forever.
Yeah. So it's a symbol to us to remind us that indeed the Most High did give Moses these laws to give us, and that he did take us out of the land of the Egyptians and kill them off. So this time now, when him do all this for him, we don't know, maybe more of a different covenant that he's going to build as something to remind us that he took us from the four corners of the world and bring us back into our land.
Right.
We don't know. Him don't mention that. He will tell us that he's going to do that. Right? But for you to get him to fight your battles, you have to be keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. Right? This thing where I'm telling us that Christ, when Christ was nailed to the cross, the laws were nailed to the cross. That's a damn lie, because they want to get you to continue sin and feel comfortable about it. Because it's a way to say, because they're not telling you that you're doing wrong things, you know. They're just saying that whatever you do and continue to do, the Most High will forgive you. And the Most High tell you otherwise in the scripture. Right? You come in the truth now. We know that it's not the same day you come in the truth. You might be a perfect person. But coming in the truth, attending classes, understanding the laws, and making the change, that's what makes you the perfect person. You're supposed to burn when you think about going to sin. I don't say burn, I mean you just poof, catch a fire. But your conscience supposed to burn, it's supposed to bother you.
Because it's after that you know the truth and still going wrong.
Exactly. Right. So that is how it is. And if you seriously find this world miserable and you want to leave this world, this is what you have to do. Keep his law, statutes, and commandments so that he can beat your enemies for you. And then I talk about the enemies of your people will live around you. Talking about the oppressor who is causing all of this to happen to you. Right. All right, let's touch chapter 7.
Another one gun. This is the book of Samuel, chapter 7 and 1. And the men of Kirjath Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord. Verse 2. And it came to pass while the ark abode in Kirjath Jearim that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord.
So it didn't even go back to where Samuel was. I remember Samuel was with Eli at a place that the ark was. I don't remember the name of that city, but you don't go back there. So it spent 20 years out, and it was in Kirjath Jearim, this place I go would have Clarendon or Manchester or St. Catherine or St. Anne or Kingston. This place named Courage at the all right, verse what you at now?
Verse 3.
One, two.
Verse 3. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, If ye do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines.
All right, so this is sure that when the Mosai was smiting the Philistine himself and turn around and smite some of the Israelite, we weren't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. We were following Ashtoreth. See, they put away the strange gods and Ashtaroths and prepare your hearts unto the Lord. But why? Because we were having Christmas and we were having, and don't believe that Christmas just started the name might just came about the other day, but celebrating winter solstice has been a tradition from the Egyptians. Celebrating in the beginning of spring when we have Passover, the other nation have something they call nowadays Easter from the time of when the Bible was being translated. It named Easter, but that was Ashtaroth. Yes, that was the worship of Ashtaroth at the beginning of spring. And they believe that if they go and worship this god, then they will have a good crop. So that tell you that it was the poor people doing it. The poor people are no crop. Right. So who was doing it? The rich of Israel, man. They have the crops, and they are the ones who want good crops. So they make sacrifices unto Ashtaroth, leading the rest of the nation astray. Because the little poor man will follow him now. The poor man will work for him. Want him to have a good crop, because him having a good crop means work for him, don't? So he might follow him too. Right? So it's just like in the church today. Who are the ones you see in the church who you would have attended to look up to? Are the richer ones in the church? More fortunate ones. You be more, you from your man from the street, you know. You understand? Yeah, man, you understand road code, man. Yes, they're the more fortunate ones. Yeah, man. So that is the reality. And even to today, that's the reality that we're living. But we in the UPK, we are revolutionists, you know, we in the truth, you know. Just that we don't take up guns and go slaughter the oppressor like what like what our Maroons would have done in the time of slavery. Right? But we are revolutionists in that we want to see our oppressor being cast down. So what do? We change ourselves. So that the Most High is going to see that we are deserving of his mercy and put down the oppressor for you. But we are revolutionists. Right. Verse what now?
Verse 4. Verse 4. Then the children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtaroth and serve the Lord only. Verse 5. And Samuel said, Gather all Israel to Mizpeh, and I will pray for you unto the Lord. Verse 6. And they gathered together to Mizpeh and drew water and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted on that day, and said, Dear, we have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpeh. Verse 7. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together to Mizpeh, the lords of the Philistine went up against Israel. And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. Verse 8. And the children of Israel said to Samuel, Cease not to cry unto the Lord our God for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. Verse 9, and Samuel took a sucking lamb and offered it for a burnt offering wholly unto the Lord. And Samuel cried unto the Lord for Israel, and the Lord heard him. Verse 10, and as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistine drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, and discomfited them, and they were smitten before Israel. Verse 11, and the men of Israel went out of Mizpeh and pursued the Philistine and smote them until they came unto Beth-kar.
All right, stick up in right there. Now, you see how it goes. Back up. See what they say.
It's delayed, sir. Well delayed.
All right. So I have to do it. Yeah, I realize that. So I have to be talking timely.
Gone, sir.
Wait, okay. Oh, no, listen. So you see what happened here now? Samuel said to them, put away these false gods. And what did they do? Them stop going to church, they stop going to the Muslim mosque, they stop going to the Hindu temple, and whatever other religion they used to be celebrating at that time. The children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtaroth and serve the Lord only. This is what the Most High want. So, in other words, you're not coming to class here in the truth, and on Sunday morning you're going to church. Because we don't know your word in the church, you're going to worship white Christ. Regardless of what them tell you saying there, it's white Christ you're worshiping.
God.
Right? Because you're using their interpretations of the scriptures, which is full of flaws. Because they're telling you that you don't have to keep laws. And here, right through the scriptures, you see where all those who were able to make it to be to make it to the scriptures, their name in the scriptures, they all keep the laws. They all keep the laws. Even in the New Testament, Christ and his disciples, they were keeping the laws. They used to go to the temple. Even after, well, we don't have much record after the temple fell. But while they could not have shown themselves into the temple, they were still out there keeping the laws. They kept the Sabbath, Christ teaching on how you should treat each other. That is law, that is brotherhood, that is in the law. Christ never tell us to go worship any other God. That is law. We should worship the Most High God of Israel and him only, Yahweh. Right? So we were keeping the law then. But that is why we are referred to as sheep, because as soon as we do not have a shepherd, we go astray. And this is how this animal that named sheep, that is how they are. They have to have a shepherd, the shepherd in front of them, and they all walk following the shepherd, going out to where the shepherd is leading them. If there's no shepherd there, then they scatter. They have to have somebody to guide them. That's why they're always in flocks. And as soon as there's no one to guide them, they scatter. That is us, Israel. As soon as there's no one to guide us, we scatter. We become Rastas, we become Christians, we become Muslim, we become Hindu, we become Buddhist. And I can tell us, we need to get back to our ancestors, and who we should be worshiping is our ancestors. So we're going in a voodoo, we're going in a kumina, and all these things. Which is why you need the truth. And the commanding general, YAHANNA, if he's a shepherd now pointing you, telling you better keep them law, statutes, and commandments if you really want freedom out of this empire. Or They're gonna end up burning with it. Because one way or another, we coming out. That's why the most I say, how was it Christ? If we're going to raise up sticks and stones, well, he was referring to the Levites. He said, you're not coming in, we're going to raise up sticks and stones. The sticks and stones is who now? The man that is, we see out there, downtrodden, society no business with him. He become homeless, and become this, and become that. So it's people, it's not literal sticks and stones on the road. The most I come down, go take up sticks and take up one stick and make it alive. No. It's people.
Yeah, you're talking a parable.
Talking in parable.
God.
And that's what, yeah. And the man who you see on coke now, who you doing business with, the cokehead, the prostitute, the woman who they are swing pool. They are the ones. They are the ones you go out and you change them. God. Tell them the truth. They're as long as they are Israelite, and you bring them into the Most High. That's the sticks and stones in talking about. So although the feast about go and do wrong until when they say stick and stone start rise up, which they believe it's a stone on the road, as the church would tell you. They say, oh, me make sure me in here, you know, because no stick and no stone not going to take my place. The sticks and the stone take your place already. Because they are people, they are not literal sticks and stones out there. They are people, it's just the downtrodden people who has fallen prey to the society. They have become gunmen. They have become, you know, like what I said at the ghetto, there was this thing that they used to do in Kingston. They say it was at the Jubilee Hospital. When the ghetto woman are coming from a baby. If a boy, they say one more gunman, man. And if a girl, they say one more go-go. Yeah. Yes, and it becomes annoying unto the people.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah, because it became annoying to the people where they start to bring it out on the talk show. And then, you know, the authority has to get in and tell the midwives, don't do them things, man. Don't pronounce these things on the people.
Go on.
It took a little, I mean, I hear about it again, so maybe them midwives that they out. Yeah, once is a son, one more gunman, and is a daughter, one more go-go. So in other words, if you come from the ghetto, they believe that there is either a gunman or a go-go. Yes, man. Well, those are the sticks and stones who the most I raise up in the truth. The gunmen and the go-go's. And you look at them today, they are pillars in the truth. And you would never believe it. They are here. They are taking us. They are taking the space of those who don't want to come, who have the sense and the dollars, and don't want to come in.
God.
Right? And they believe so. Who then I truth and look their money. Well, guess what? The pastor already have it. Can't they give it to you? You know? You go and burn with him.
Right.
Right. So one way to get the most out to fight for us, put away these idols. Open your eyes, free your mind. Only you can free it. Right? The most I show you the truth, but is you have to make the walk. All right, continue.
Another one can. Verse Verse 12. Then Samuel took a stone and set it between Mizpeh and Shen, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, hitherto as the Lord helped us. Verse 13. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. Verse 14. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even unto Gath. And the coast thereof did Israel deliver out of the hand of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. Verse 15.
So you see what happened now. the Most High delivered us and restored our cities unto us. Because what we do? The important thing was what? What was the important thing that happened in the whole thing in a Samuel time? That made the Most High come on our side.
Keep your statutes and commandments.
Right, we keep the statutes and commandments and put away the idols.
God.
Come out of them false religion.
God.
Right? That is the important thing. You see, we remember in the other day with the coronavirus, what India did, and dump the idol and run sitting over them and throw them in the sea, in the river, and take all the shrines that they would have in their house, and some big one that they would have in some temple that would be like a little churches that you would have. Hey man, all them pretty things, and just take them out and dash them because they realize that you can't help with. Right? But luckily for them, they didn't fall prey to another nation. They fell prey to a virus. But we always fall prey to another nation. And the Philistines was a nation who we were paying taxes to, our tributes to, at the time of Samuel. The Most High used Samuel to bring the nation back to him. Then put away the false gods and things, and the Most High restore the cities that we own. So in other words, we start being flat-foot hustlers in the city. Just like how we are flat-foot hustlers in the cities now. It's not we own the cities now. We don't own the cities. We don't own the buildings in the city. We have no talk in the city. Continue.
Another one can. Verse 14. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even unto God. And the coast thereof did Israel deliver out of the hand of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. Verse 15. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. Verse 16. And he went from year to year in circuit into Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpeh, and judged Israel in all those places. Verse 17. And his return was to Ramah, for there was his house, and there he judged Israel, and there he built an altar unto the Lord.
All right. So to understand anything about circuit courts, this is the circuit court. First recording of circuit court. In Jamaica, you heard about commit a crime and he said in case I go circuit in them, start Fred. Why? Yeah man, life in prison. I go broke your neck. Luckily for them out here, then I broke your neck again. They can get life in prison and so on. Circuit court that.
Dangerous. Yes.
All right. But circuit court now means that the judge travels around in circuit. That's why it's called circuit. You know, like an electric circuit work in a circular motion and come back right where it started. So when in the year now, for the year, the judge would move from court to court across the island, whichever parishes or whatever, in Jamaica case, whichever parishes or whatever is within his circuit, and move.
Right.
And at the same time, you have other judges that he's training. You understand? So people are afraid of that. But here is the first recording of the circuit court. And Samuel judged Israel in this way. So Samuel would move from town to hear these big cases in which the leaders within the city say bigger than that. Suppose you do something and neck for broke. Yeah, the court decide that, you know. Right. So as much as the law say homosexuals must be stoned and adulterers must be stoned, you don't stone them when you catch them. You bring them before the priest who was the judge. The high priest was the ultimate judge. But there was no high priest here. So Samuel was the judge of Israel. So that case in whichever city would stay, and when Samuel is in that city, that case would come up, and then they'll decide this man should be put to death, or this man should be freed. You understand? So that was the case. It was then. But continuing on our path of liberation of our people, now take me to Deuteronomy 28, 1, 2, and 7.
Where it say 1, 2, and 7, right?
Can.
Another one, can. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Right, so in verse 1 and 2 of Deuteronomy 28, the Most High set the foundations of how you get the Most High on his side. It shall come to pass, if you should listen diligently to the voice of the Lord, to observe and do all his commandments which he is commanding you, that the Lord will set you on high above all nations. And all these blessings and curses, all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you if you shall listen or hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Now we are on the topic of war. Drop down to 7.
Another one, can. Verse 7, the Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways.
All right. So the Most High, this is the promise that he's making. Once you keep in his laws, statutes, and commandments, your enemies will rise against you. They don't say they're not going to rise against you. Your enemies will rise against you, and they will be smitten before your face. They shall come up against you one way, and they shall flee before you 7 ways. Mean what? You catch them free and run in all different directions.
Different angles.
Right. So that is promise from when we just get our laws. All right, take me to Luke 10, 17 to 20.
Slack 17 to how much?
20.
Another one, can. This is the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 17. And the 70 return again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. Verse 18, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven. Verse 19.
All right, hold on, stick up in.
Yeah,
So right here now, what we have is when Christ, you remember the part where he said, these 12 he sent out. Well, after him sent out the 12 disciples, next time him sending out man to bring the word, he sent out 70. So the 70 return joyous and say, yes, man, why, Christ, big things are going on, you know. Even the devils are subject unto us through your name, because of your name. Now, probably you young man, maybe you have heard this in the church before. What you think you mean by say even the devils are subject unto us?
God.
What you think you mean?
The devil,
Mm-hmm.
because the devil was close to the Most High.
No, it's even the devil was subject unto us, meaning even the devil get afraid away.
God.
What do you think you mean? Well, you said the right thing. You don't know the answer there. But we in the truth know who is the devil.
Right.
That is why it is important for us to know who the devil is. Because a Christian can't interpret this thing. Because we know the devil is a white man.
God.
What they were telling you, what they were telling Christ, boy, big things are going on, you know, even the white man that kiss me boot.
God.
Here it is in the Bible.
God.
But how you interpret it, Christian don't know that. You know, the Christian will tell us it was demons that were being subjected to them.
Then break it down to you.
They can't break it down. The Most High only show the truth to who is in the truth.
God.
Right. That prophet that he chose in the time of Samuel that we were reading, them never know that they go put all them idols and things. Samuel tell them, say, listen, if you want the Philistines to come off of your back, you know, you have to put on them things. Well, we are telling you today, you want America to come off of your back, you have to put away the idols and come into the truth and the commandment generally.
That's right.
And we say that without any water in our mouth.
God.
Right? Even the devils are subject to us. And what Christ's response was, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Meaning what? That's how fast the white man fall is going to be.
That's right.
Because shortly after Christ, he came into Jerusalem. Rome fell after that, a couple years after that, right? And the fall of Rome was for 1,000 years. And we were ruling the world then. That was how they talk about the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages don't mean that the people are living in darkness and don't know this and don't know that. The Dark Ages just mean the darker skinned people are ruling the world during that time. All right. 19.
Another one, gun, verse 19. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you.
20.
Verse 20. Notwithstanding, in this rejoice not that the spirit are subject unto you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven.
All right. So, because the spirit is subject to you, that's why the white man kiss your boot. It's a battle that has to be won on the spiritual level. And you get the battle, you win the battle at the spiritual level by keeping the law, statutes, and commandment of the Most High. And then you see playing out on this level, on this plane, in this world, right? So the Most High is letting them know, no, don't rejoice that they are kissing your boot. Just rejoice that your name is now written down in heaven.
God.
Right? So don't rejoice, say, boy, don't 3 white men kiss my boot today. That's not where the rejoicing is. The rejoicing is in my name is written down in heaven. That's why the white man is kissing my boot. That's why the white man is afraid of me, because we're winning the battle on the spiritual plane. And it's been played out here. Right? Serious thing, you know, serious talk. Because you go out to speak to them and you're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. What do you think will happen? Same thing that happened to them. Same thing that happened to them fake Israelite group will happen to you. Yeah. There was one leader get cast off in prison because of he used the truth as a cover for his drug operation, drug smuggling operation. Can you believe it? My word. All right, turn to Revelation 19 and 11 to 14.
Another one, gun. So look here, Revelations what, 19?
19.
Verse 11 to...
Verse 11 to 14.
Another one, gun. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 19, verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war.
All right, so war is from the time of Genesis, because it was same thing happening in the garden. That's why this serpent get the woman to commit the sin, because the union and the power was too strong. So they had to find a way to break them, and then break them by getting one of them to sin. Right here in Revelation, the close of the things, there's still more. Heaven open, white horse, which is the chariots, and he that was that sat upon him was called faithful and true. Why was he called faithful and true? Because the works that we are doing here, we say that we are in the truth, but we believe Christ will return. That is what? We are in the truth, but we believe in that Christ will return. That is what? That's faith. Right. So Christ returning, he is being faithful.
Faithful.
Right. And in returning, it means that what we are saying is really true, because he didn't come.
Yeah.
So that's why he was called faithful and true. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. And make what?
War.
War. So why not done it, maybe? Why not done it? Some serious wars coming. Just
Right.
build up your stomach for it, man. But the ultimate one still him saying, make we see it. Don't deal with the nation too bad. You know why we see it? Because it's going to have a terrible impact on us if we see it. We're going to be traumatized. Trauma. All right. Verse 12.
Canada 1 gun, verse 12. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself.
All right. So his
Verse
eyes
13,
were a
sir.
flame of fire. His eyes being a flame of fire were like flame of fire is the color. Red eye, or just the color of eyes, not blue, like what you get from the white man. And on his head were many crowns. Well, he didn't go to the goldsmith and say, make me many crowns. Christ had those many crowns on his head because he slew many kings here on earth and took them crown.
Right.
You know the talk on the street and they say you take a man's stripe. What you have to do if you take what would you have to do to take a person's stripe on the street?
Defeat.
You'd have to defeat him.
God.
You have to beat him up. Right? You might not kill him, but you have to beat him up in front of everybody. Everybody knows that you beat him up, don't? Well, that's how Christ take the crowns. Except in the case of a king, you take him crown, you don't leave him alive.
God.
Oh, we know that. Continue.
Canada 1 gun. Verse 13. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God.
Vesture dipped in blood. What do you think that be? That's when they kill them to take them crown, beat them up on their armies, and take with them crown. And we're talking about a physical crown here too. Not just in take away them honor. These are the rulers, various rulers of the earth. Not only their honor he takes away, but he takes the physical crown from off their head. There are many kings in the world still, you know. You know that? Many kings in the world still. Japan ruled by king, England ruled by king, Spain ruled by king. Some countries in the Arab world ruled by king. Ethiopia, well, Fim King not did it right now. But there are many kings. Huh?
King get defeated.
Well, yes, by his own people. But Europe have other kings too. I don't know all of them, but they are there.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Spanish king, the English king. But there are other kings. A lot of kings in the world still. And Christ is going to come and defeat them.
Gone.
Where right now? And his name called the word of God. Why call the word of God? Because all that's written here in the word of God is coming again to fulfill what is here in Revelation. Yes, and you know what I'm laying in next promise? To come bust the ass and free you. Yes, and that is what the word of God holds for today. Don't be afraid to tell Christians that. And when I say I called you or whatever, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's not you them to blame them, for blame the man who tell them the lie. Yes, and because you are telling them the truth now, your truth seems like lie to them.
God.
Because your truth don't have the millions of dollars and the private jet and things like what their lies have.
Luxury.
The luxury. See, I understand what is happening on the street, man. All right, so 14 says,
Canada 1 gun, verse 14. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean.
all right, so the armies that comes with Christ comes with white chariots. And it says horses, because horses was what they understood then. When this Bible was being written, man don't understand nothing more than flying. But Bible tell you about chariot of fire. The other day, you know, see one man go up in the sky in a chariot of fire. When Bezos, Jeff Bezos, and NASA have been doing it from in the 60s. Right? So chariots. Eh?
That was fierce.
Yes. But here, the white horses is talking about chariots. It's not no horse or gallop up there, like even Christian do the drawings and things showing Christ sitting and flying horses up there.
Yeah.
It's spaceship.
Yeah.
Same thing you call spaceship. So you know what happened when the Christians them see spaceship come, they must follow the white man and say a alien invasion.
God.
And run up and down like they have no sense.
Yeah. God.
Which is your liberation coming. So they want you to run from your salvation. Nah, it was to run towards your salvation. That is why by the time they see the chariot, you gone, you know. Because what Christ said about it, I'll take you up. Two shall be in the field, and the one taken away. You understand? So by the time them see the chariot, you already tell already destruction will reach them. Fire. All right. Questions? Any?
Yeah, sir, no question.
Any further question, young man?
No question.
All right. So with that, pass the class to priest and officer. Can you add one?
All right, clap it up. All right, these are the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, you can find this in Numbers 18 and 21, and Malachi 3, verse 8 to 10, means 10 in the Hebrew and is pronounced Ma'aishara. 10% of every penny or any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you'd like to give. Upcoming holy convocation. That is the memorial of the blowing of the trumpet, and that is on that is the first day of the 7th month, which is on Monday, the 6th of September, and you can find this in Leviticus 23, verse 24 to 25. Reminding Akiam and Akwatiam to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and material. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he needs to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, we say I medium, which means to stand.
Before we start, I make a comment here, and Deju said Christ gave us power over demons. Yes, that's true. So because of the power we get over demons, that is why the white man able to come and kiss your boot in the physical world. Demons in the spiritual world. All right, come.
All right, Lapanya Aquadam, which means turn and face the east. Salakia Sar Lapanya Aquadam, which means turn and face the east. We're gonna say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew and then in English. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabashamaya.
Shabashamaya. Kwadash.
Aya.
Aya.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahawa.
Yahawa.
Malakwatka.
Malakwatka.
Taba'a.
Taba'a.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Aya.
Aya.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Marataza.
Marataza.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Aya.
Aya.
Bashamaya.
Bashamaya.
Nathan Lanawa.
Nathan Lanawa.
Lakam.
Lakam.
Kal.
Kal.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalak Lanawa.
Wasalak Lanawa.
Kababwat Nawa.
Kababwat Nawa.
Kasalat Nawa.
Kasalat Nawa.
Kawabwat Yanawa.
Kawabwat Nawa.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Tabaya Anawa.
Tabaya Nawa.
Banasaya one.
Banasaya one.
Abal.
Abal.
Awashai Nawa.
Awashai Nawa.
Maya.
Maya.
Right.
Right.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Amalakwat.
Amalakwat.
Wa'ala.
Wa'ala.
Watapara.
Watapara.
La'aiwalamyam.
La'aiwalamyam.
Amen.
Amen. In English, our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
So be it.
So be it.
Pray for the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen that speak against
us. To the heathens that speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teachers.
The teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers and the school.
The Israelite brothers and the school.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathens.
And shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel.
And shake loose the treasures of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
That refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary.
Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction.
Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction
to the Edomites
to the Edomites
and the nations
and the nations
and their drug dealers,
and their drug dealers,
the court system,
the court system,
prison system,
the prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
the Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia, Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
skinheads,
Pasikomatasi,
the gay movement,
the gay movement,
the lesbian movement,
the lesbian movement,
spies, workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space program, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet, and the airways, the cable access channels, and the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us and bring swift destruction to all the Eden that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahawashai, Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and punish all the Eden that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that hath done it. Cause it to be spread through the media throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you always, so be it.
All right, this is the prayer for the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai.
Baba Kwasha. Nathan
Lanawa. Akak.
Larapa. Kalmakala. Wakal Madawa. Akak. Lata'ar. Amatazaraya. Akak. La Akwayam. Amatayam. Akak. Ilrakawat. Atamala. Lagarashan. Ba'asham Yahushai.
Toward Aman. In English, Yahweh in the name of Yahweh.
Yahweh in the name of Yahushai.
Please give us the power. The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to raise the dead.
Power to raise the dead.
Power against unclean spirits.
Power against unclean spirits.
To cast them out in the name of Yahushua.
To cast them out in the name of Yahushua.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it. All right, this is the prayer for the blessings in Hebrew. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai.
Barak Lanawa.
Wayasharala.
Wa'a. Bayatsaparia,
Yatsapari,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapa'a,
Rapa'a,
Magan,
Magan, Magan, Hagan,
Commanding General YAHANNA,
Commanding General YAHANNA,
the generals,
the generals,
the captains,
the captains,
the officers,
the officers,
the troopers,
the troopers,
the young men and the sisters,
the young men and the sisters,
Basham Yawashai,
Sham Yawashai,
toward our man.
toward our man. In English, what I just said is, Lord, in the name of Yahweh, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones in the name of Yahweh. Thank you so much.
All right, star, which means to turn. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel. Amajum Shabbat. Imadium. Barak. Yahweh Basham Yawashai Barakatah.
Yahweh Basham Yawashai Barakatam.
Yarimata. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sister and the sisters watching online. Men of Israel. Turn and face the sisters. Men of Israel. Imadium Shabbat. Imadium. Barak. Yahweh Shamar Alatam Basham Yawashai. Yarimata. Class dismissed.
Yeah, on 44 shit, you know what I mean? Busy man. Look, when that shit drop, you step all the way on their neck, step on their neck and they head with that shit. Fine then, I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it, got it out the mud, straight to glory. They don't know how I did it, he nice, but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. They mad, I'm too solid, circle tight, yeah, vacuum seal. No, they want my life, I ain't worried, I got rank for it, I got real soldiers, kill for me, nigga, watch yourself. They say you been in beast mode lately, you is not yourself. When you dropping that fire, precious marriage, they inquiring. They can't stop what's coming, but I see them conspire. Cross the line, them firing. This bitch here, finna break the spin on kindness. I don't trust you, circle small. You can keep your features. Me and my niggas don't keep no secrets. And it feel like Jesus niggas. Say they want some smoke, dog. So I brought these chimney swings. Coming like we, you can't even count. These niggas don't run it like we running. Bitch, don't even start. Bitch, I'm with my niggas till the end, till them do us part. So if you wanna leave, you can leave, bitch. Bless your heart, fine then. I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it, got it out the mud, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel. He nice, but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. Ooh, I got a man, circle tight, yeah, vacuum seal. I heard they want my life, I ain't worried, I got rate for real. Take over in effect, yeah, I'm fully focused. You might not see it on me, just know it's women, that bitch fully loaded. Ooh, yeah, we up and rolling. Told them I need major motion. Think I'm joking, I'ma school them niggas like they baby Jody. Got it out the dust, now I'm too clean, don't know why they hate me. What you want all life, dog? Guns and butter, baby boy. UPK top, dog. Certified road runner. I'ma turn that E-Line into a damn tank. I got chopper status in the attic like they Air Frank. They had that shit on lock till I snapped on them like bolt cutters. You cannot